Well, my, would you look at what we have here? Yet another threat by the one known as Gorgeous George. Not only is this yet another threat, it's a typical threat, a lawsuit threat. This is ground that we've covered numerous times. Numerous goons have been on the receiving end of one of these lawsuits. I think it must be around half a dozen times this guy has filed a lawsuit. Maybe more if you include the lawsuit against Magic Matt and his father, or however that went. But by his own admission, he lost that one. Just like he lost all the lawsuits against goons. Yet somehow, he thinks that he can use the threat of a lawsuit to intimidate me. He thinks that he can throw this around and that I'm going to cower. Now, why would I do that when he can't win a lawsuit? When not only can he not win, but he has literally been mocked in the courtroom. The judge has literally ruled that his show sucks. That's worse than losing. It's hard to imagine a worse outcome than to go to court forsaking your own well-being because he did this at the expense of his house. He should have been focusing his efforts on his own failing life, and instead he focused on people that said things he didn't like on the internet. And so not only did he lose the court case, but he lost his house, many of his possessions, and now regularly sleeps in a parking lot in his van. That's worse than losing. That's failure on a grand scale. That anybody else, if they were on the receiving end of that, they would say, holy shit, I gotta make some real fucking changes in my life. No more trolling the internet trying to find people saying things I don't like about me. No more focusing on a show that hasn't gone anywhere in 25 years. I'm going to get my shit together. I'm going to get my life straight. I don't want to sleep in a parking lot at Walmart. I don't want to have to go and depend on Starbucks for Wi-Fi if I want to go online. I don't want to wear rumpled, dirty clothes and look like I should be on a corner with a cup begging for change. I don't want to be in my car for 18 hours a day, hustling from one fast food joint to the next, bringing people their Wendy's, their McDonald's, their Arby's, smelling the aroma of those orders and wishing I could afford a simple meal at McDonald's, wondering if I can get, I was going to use some kind of value menu as an example, but I really don't eat a whole lot of fast food, so I can't name a single one. But the message should be clear. This is a guy, he's lost everything, and he's still focused on me. And the comment he's responding to, I didn't even mention him, and he complains all the time about how he didn't ask for this, he didn't ask for that. Well, I didn't even mention him, and he's there trying to shit talk me. Is it that lonely at the Walmart parking lot that you're trying to reach out for me? Is that why you've been incessantly messaging Sean over the last 24 hours, 48 hours? I mean, it would explain a lot. Yet you want to go down this path of lawsuits, and you haven't won a single one. You got a record worse than Glass Joe, who was 1-99. He at least had a win. Like you said to Piss 4400, you've never seen pussy, well, you've never seen a win. If you want to compare that to being with a woman, you've never gotten a woman to even look at your zipper as far as lawsuits go. You bring him to Judge Gibney and he says bye-bye. He makes those lawsuits go bye-bye. So yeah, go ahead, threaten me with the lawsuits. Number one, I haven't done anything illegal. Anything you try and file, any goon from this point forward can immediately point to the ruling in Gibney's last case and say, Judge, it's already been ruled on, and the judge will say bye-bye to George Yarid. And he will flush you down the commode with the diarrhea that's coming out of your mouth. It's that simple. So you made it easy on all of us now. File something against us, there's legal precedent, and you will get flushed down the commode. And you can bob for your own log while you're down there. It's just really amusing because, number one, I haven't violated your copyright. If you look at Gibney's ruling, nothing I've done has violated a copyright of yours because you don't have one. And number two, you're a public figure. I can say whatever I want about you. I don't harass you. I don't contact you. This most recent contact I had with you was due to you. You reached out to try and get my attention, which is typical. It must be awfully lonely in that parking lot because you are just desperate for any attention you can get from people like me and Sean and others. It really says a lot. So I won't be intimidated by anything you've got to say. I'm not impressed. The worst you can do is make comments on Kevin's channel. That's it. You don't make videos anymore. You don't rip anybody in your videos because you're afraid to make those. Your lawsuits aren't scary to anybody because you can't win one. And you've already lost every single one. The judge has ruled on it. So now we're protected. We can just point to those in the past and say, hey, it's been ruled on. Bye-bye. Asa Viesta, as you say. So thank you for that, George. Now, before I go, I want to bring one last thing up. And that is how amusing it is that George, in his 50s, looks to Mike Saunders as a father figure. Now, you can search for any of the phone calls between George and Mike Saunders on YouTube. And there are numerous calls where George is approaching Mike like Mike is his father. Dad, can I borrow the car, please? Or, Dad, can I borrow the laptop? Or, Dad, can I borrow some money? How messed up is that? George is the one that used to talk about Magic Matt coming to him like he was daddy. But he's doing the same thing with Mike Saunders. Borrowing money so he can sleep in a hotel. Borrowing the car so he can survive. Borrowing the laptop so he can win his case. At 50, who needs some other guy to take care of you? I mean, I could understand if he was a real relative and you had some sort of disability. That might make sense, but God's gift to mankind, George Yarid, needs to go beg to Mike? Kind of tells me how messed up you are. It's like Angela said, that you just are determined to live in poverty and you can't do it on your own. Truer words have not been spoken. And I think there's an odd duality there where he does look up to Mike. And people should look up to Mike because Mike has accomplished a lot. And I want to say, for Mike to have spent time in prison and come out and get his life together, have a loving marriage, a family, a good career, multiple cars, Mike has done well. And he should be admired by people because he's living the American dream. But he's also a good, almost 20 years younger than George. And George is coming to him as daddy. It's just amazing. There's got to be this odd, George is definitely repressed. He's definitely in the closet. And so he sees Mike as a father figure, but he's also attracted to him. So that's what's going on there. It's so easy to understand his psyche, since I really took that look in my earlier video about the Lysol can. But I just feel like I know George inside and out now, and I can tell you that there's an attraction there. He's attracted to Mike, and he's also desperate for Mike's help, along with the affection that he wants from Mike as a father figure and someone that he's attracted to. I think a lot would go a long way for George to come out of the closet, admit that you like the dong, and you'll be all good. We won't mock you for it. This is the year 2020, by the way, where people are much more accepting. Just something for you to mull over. Anyhow, that's all I got. This is the captain, signing off.